The old ones say there was a time before we could see all the colors. A time when the world still had spaces left unpainted. Between the light and the dark, there was space. And in that space there lived certain beings, spirits or creatures, or what exactly, we can't be certain. But I know, these things were not meant for humans to notice. They say those things are spiders. Not the little ones that build their homes in corners of rooms and between tree branches. They were of those that inhabited the space between light and dark. They come from the realm that is hidden behind all that we can see. It was said that some of them would grow to be very large, while others stayed rather small. They have abilities that living things do not. They can move between the light and the dark. They can keep themselves hidden even in plain sight, but they can make themselves visible, except no one who has ever seen one has ever lived to tell about it. Sometimes it would be a hunter who went out in search for food, or even a child who wandered too far away from the safety of their home and family. I've heard stories that sometimes a lost individual, a hunter or a child, would later be found, wrapped in a sticky sort of string that was thinner than a human hair, stronger than the finest braided rope, and was difficult to see, even when it was woven tightly around the victim. When that would happen, the old ones would say it was the spiders. Sometimes they do cross into our world, traveling along their invisible lines of silk and on webs that they weave in the space just over our heads. They say that they were made from sunlight, spun so fine the eye could not follow. On these thin strands, they can pass between worlds, completely hidden from human eyes. But if you've ever been out walking and the wind blew just right, especially at times when the daylight changes to darkness, or darkness back to light again, dawn and dusk, you might catch a little shine, a tiny little bright spot ahead of you some distance. Or, if it was very windy, you might see the whole world before you glimmer and sparkle. The old ones would say that is the spider's web, breathing, moving, and stretching with the ever-changing world. Long ago, a hunter walked alone on the prairie when he saw a little shimmer of something gleam in the sunlight. He thought it was a spirit thread, as it was suspended in the air just above his head. When he tilted his head and the sunlight hit it just right, he could see it was stretched very far in two directions. It went straight back towards the direction from where he had come, went directly over his head, and continued on, straight out ahead of him, in the same direction that he was going. But there was something else. The thread seemed to be making a noise. He wasn't quite sure, but yes, this peculiar string was humming. It was a hum unlike any he had heard before. It wasn't like the sweet, pure tone of a flute, but it was a little harsh and dirty sounding, and it seemed to be coming from inside his own head. To make matters worse, the humming was getting louder. He paused for a moment and considered what to do, but the humming was getting louder and louder, and the humming got louder and louder, until he thought he could not stand it any longer. Almost without thinking, he reached up to touch the spirit thread. As soon as his finger touched the thread, the humming stopped. Not only that, but the whole world around him seemed to go silent. And in the corner of his shadow, he saw it. 8 long legs, teeth like jagged stones, and many eyes that did not blink. He turned to run, but the web was stuck to his hand and he could not free himself. It's not that it was just stuck, but it seemed to wrap itself around him so that his entire hand was now covered in the sticky thread. He reached for his knife with his other hand, but fumbled it a little, and when he finally got a hold of his knife, the web now had him up to his shoulder. He stared into those unblinking eyes as he felt his bones being crushed. The web was now wrapping his entire body from his ankles to his neck. What was happening to him? He did not know or understand. He wondered what was happening, as he realized that his family will wonder too. But maybe for them not to know was a good thing, and that was the last thought to pass through his mind as he blinked and looked up and saw the largest pair of fangs he had ever seen. It has been said the spiders do not only eat flesh, they eat presence. They consume your spirit. They take the part of you the world remembers. That is why, on still nights, when the air grows heavy and even the dogs will not bark, they say that some songs will keep them away, or the smoke from your campfire will too. But when the night is too quiet, it means they are out there, weaving again. Their silk bends light, bends memory, bends truth. So if you feel a little tickle on the back of your neck, do not swat, do not scream, do not run. Just whisper, I see you. And maybe, if your spirit is strong enough, they will let you stay.